Hello, everybody. How do? College football, the real weekend of college football is upon us. Week number 1. Forget about that week 0 crap that was last week. That was not indicative of what college football is all about. This, my friends, is the true opening weekend of college football. And welcome to the Neutral Zone. I'm your host, Ryan Neff. I will try and be as informative as I can and try and bring my 30 plus years of knowledge watching college football. College football is my passion. College football is what I eat, sleep, and breathe 24/7 year round. So I hope to be as informative as I possibly can. Try saying that like 5 times fast. So again, thanks for everybody that's going to tune in. Maybe watch the rebroadcast of this. Special shout out to Sean Stewart on the Sports for America brand. Thanks to him for allowing me to do this. So let's just get right into it. So tonight, I'm going to go through all the top 25 games, make my predictions, and then at the end of the show, what I'm going to do is I will delve into a little against the spread action, just for my own benefit or for your own benefit. But don't take my word for it because I'm not a professional. This is just a feel kind of thing against the spread for me. So tonight we have the Florida Gators at the number 14 Utah Utes. Cam Rising, the quarterback for Utah, is ruled out for this game. I think it's going to be quarterback by committee for Utah. We'll see what happens. It's not going to be like last year. Utah had to go to the swamp. And I think Utah got a little cocky. I think they, were believing all their hype preseason. It was a sloppy game. Florida eventually prevailed. I think the final score was 24-20, if I remember correctly. I should have pulled that up, but what are you going to do? It's a tough place to play. And I think the Utah fans are going to be ready. I know they don't have Cam Rising at the quarterback position. But look, this Utah team has been to the Pac-12 championship twice over the last 2 years, and they've won it twice. So they know what to do. Florida's not going to scare them whatsoever. Florida's defense last year was abysmal. They were ranked 92nd in the country last year. Were they going to find that cohesiveness? Or are the younger players going to step up? And Anthony Richardson is now gone for Florida. I just don't see the balance offensively for them. Minus the Cam Rising thing for Utah, I think Florida will hang around a little bit. I know a lot of people are jumping off of Utah because of that. But Utah's defense, they're smash mouth. Utah plays a smash mouth style of offense. I don't think who's at quarterback for Utah. I think Florida is going to come into a buzzsaw. That Utah crowd will be ready. And I believe that Utah will come away with the victory tonight. It'll be closer than what you think. But I think Utah's defense is the difference tonight. So I'm going Utah 28, Florida 17. It's going to be a game of attrition, and Utah is going to wear them down. So let's delve into the other top 25 games of the weekend. Utah State is at Iowa on Saturday. Utah State, kind of a tough out the last 10 years. They're a really gritty team. Cade McNamara might not play for Utah, the Michigan transfer. So that's not good news for Iowa. Everybody knows that Iowa's offense last year was pungent. They stank out loud. And had it not been for Iowa's defense, they wouldn't have had the season that they had last year. With all that being said, even if McNamara doesn't play, Utah State, it's Iowa City's still a tough place to play against the Iowa football team. Iowa loses a little bit on defense. I still think they'll be stout defensively. If McNamara were to play, this game would probably be a blowout. Since McNamara is not playing, tough one. But I still think Iowa wins the football game. Again, tough place to play. The fans will be into it. You know, the tradition after the first quarter is to wave to the children in the cancer ward in the hospital. Again, opening weekend, Iowa, top 25 team. We don't really know what we're getting with Utah State. So in this particular instance, even though McNamara is not playing for Iowa, I still think they win the game. So I'm going to go Iowa 30, Utah State 13. A lot of people are picking a blowout, even if McNamara doesn't play. You still need to see where this Iowa team is. We've got South Alabama at Tulane, number 24 Tulane. South Alabama is a tough football team, my friends. Tough football team. We all know the kind of season that Tulane had last year. Nobody saw that coming. They beat, now, granted, Caleb Williams got hurt, but Tulane beat USC in the bowl game last year. So they have a lot of returning starters from what we know. They are the reigning American Athletic Conference champions. Major question mark for me in this game is the Tulane defense. Tulane had a good defense. I wouldn't say they were stellar. I would say they were good. And I'm just reading off my notes here. So if you see me looking down like this, I'm just reading my notes that I have jotted down for you and your viewing pleasure. So, again, they've lost a lot from the defense. Got a lot of starters that are going to be playing in their first game on the defensive side of the ball. And they also have a new defensive coordinator. Michael Pratt, their quarterback, is back. But, again, South Alabama, tough football team. Very tough football team. One of those gritty, grinded out to keep the nose to the grindstone kind of football team. Again, Tulane's defense coming into this year as opposed to last year, very suspect. So, with all that being said, I think this game is at 8 o'clock, I think on Saturday, from what I remember. There's so many games on this week, and I can't keep track. So I'm going to go Tulane 27, South Alabama 20. Yes, it's going to be a close game. Then we have New Mexico State at number 23, Texas A&M. This one's at 7 o'clock. Texas A&M had the high expectations last year. Everybody expected them to do something. There are some people that were saying that they were going to be in the SEC championship game last year. They just fell apart. Jimbo Fisher has had to retool this football team. Now, it's New Mexico. New Mexico, over the years, has not been one of the more stellar programs. Texas A&M will be motivated. They were 5-7 last year. It was abysmal. Jimbo Fisher would probably took the schedule and the football from each game that they lost, and they probably buried it somewhere outside of Kyle Field and threw dirt on it, just to forget about it. This game is going to be a blowout. The 12th man's going to be rocking. College Station will be rocking. And there's no way in hell. If Texas A&M loses to New Mexico, I'll eat this shirt. How about that for confidence? Texas A&M can't be any worse than they were last year. And at times last year, they looked lost. That will not happen this year. So I'm going to say it's going to be Texas A&M 45, New Mexico 10. Yes, Texas A&M's defense will come into play, and I think they will be well balanced offensively. Then we have Mercer. That's right, Mercer at number 22, Ole Miss. This is a 2 p.m. start time. Did you hear me correctly? I said Mercer at Ole Miss. I really wish, with all the realignment going on, I really hate it when the big boys schedule cupcakes. I know they want to get the confidence up. I know it's a big payday for the little guy. But is anybody going to tune in to see Mercer play Ole Miss? Other than Ole Miss fans? I don't know. Ole Miss started off gangbusters last year. They started off the season 7-0. People were talking about them being a threat in the SEC West to go to the SEC championship game, and then they fell apart. I think they lost 5 out of their last 6 or 4 out of their last 5, from what I remember. Lane Kiffin hasn't named a starting quarterback yet, from what I saw. And I was trying to find out info on it, but I don't see anything anywhere that he's named a starting quarterback. Is it going to be Jackson Dart, or is it going to be the transfer from Oklahoma State, Spencer Sanders? Don't know. They're both quality quarterbacks, but really, seriously, doesn't matter who you start. You're playing Mercer, for God's sakes. And it's at home in the Grove. The Grove will be rocking. Mercer. Ole Miss 50. Mercer 6. Yes, that's right. You heard it. Ole Miss 50. Mercer 6. Then we come to what might possibly be the best game on the slate this weekend, other than maybe LSU Florida State. LSU Florida State's probably the creme de la creme. And in this game, we have North Carolina, number 21 North Carolina, going to, well, not to, it's actually in Charlotte. So North Carolina against South Carolina. This one's the 7:30 kickoff. Drake May, one of the Heisman favorites, quarterback for North Carolina. A lot of people are talking about North Carolina. You have Florida State and Clemson pre-ACC championship favorites. And then right below them, it's North Carolina. North Carolina always just seems to be stuck in that 8-4, maybe like a 9-3 season, or 9-3, 8-4, 7-5, like somewhere in there, like year after year after year. And a lot of people are talking about them this year. You remember 2 years ago when they were preseason ranked 10? And they believed their hype, and they just had like this abysmal, mediocre season. I don't know what Mac Brown has up his sleeve, but we'll see. This game's kind of tricky for me. It really is. I know it's at a neutral site. It's in Charlotte. Little home cooking for the Tar Heels. I don't know. I wavered back and forth on this one like a lot. So North Carolina has Drake May. South Carolina doesn't. I still think it'll be a close game. If North Carolina can come out with a win here, boost their confidence, it might propel them to better things. So I'm going North Carolina 28, South Carolina 24. I think North Carolina wins a close one. Then we get into the top 20. Noon kickoff Saturday, we have Arkansas State against Oklahoma. Oklahoma, another team last year. They started off 3-0, and then they just imploded. They got their ass kicked by Texas last year, and just, Brett Venables he tried to pull all out the stops, and it just didn't work. So can it get any worse? Probably not week 1 against Arkansas State. Where's the defense at? Where's the offense at? I mean, I don't know. Based off what we saw last year, I'm still up on the year on Oklahoma. I know they're ranked 20th preseason. I hate preseason rankings. It's a joke. Doesn't make any sense anymore. Like I said, if you want to leave it to the publications that come out with their college football stuff on the shelves, great. They should get rid of the AP poll. They should get rid of the coaches poll preseason, because it's idiotic anymore. It's asinine, and it doesn't make sense. Really what you should do, like I said, Like, let all the publications that come out, like Phil Steele will come out with his, or the Sporting News will come out with theirs. Really, what you should do, the AP and the coaches poll, wait till they play half a season, then come out with your polls. Because really, in honest, they come up with their preseason polls. They change after week one anyway, because you might have an upset or two. So they're stupid anymore. I think the Sooners bounce back this year. Do I think they're going to win the Big 12? No. Do I think they're going to go 5-7 or whatever the hell they were last year? No. But it'll be a redemption tour for this Oklahoma football team. So again, they're playing Arkansas State. It's at home. It's opening weekend. I'm going Oklahoma 47, Arkansas State 17. Then we go Buffalo at number 19, Wisconsin. This is a 3:30 start. Obviously, opener up there in Madison. Camp Randall will be rocking. Jump around. You'll see that. I think it's in the third quarter, from what I remember. I think it is in the third quarter is when they do that. Luke Fickell. The Luke Fickell tenure starts at Wisconsin. We know the success he had at Ohio State. We know the success he had at Cincinnati. And now he goes to Wisconsin. And there's a lot of pundits out there who are saying that Wisconsin will win the Big 12 or the Big 10, whatever that division is. I don't even know anymore. I stopped keeping track. It doesn't matter. But whatever division it is, there's pundits that are saying that it's either going to be Iowa or Wisconsin. Now, Buffalo's not a bad team. They're out of the MAC. And do I think they're going to be able to hang with Wisconsin? No. Luke Fickell likes a balanced offense, and he likes to play solid defensively because he played defense at Ohio State. He was a defensive coordinator. And if you think that he's going to let Buffalo going to do anything in the first game of his regime, you can forget about it. They're going to pound the rock. They're going to open it up a little bit in the pass game. Like I said, Wisconsin over the years, it's been run. I don't see that with Luke Fickell. This is going to be, I'm not going to say it's going to be an RPO, but it's going to be a hell of a lot more of a mixture between the run and the pass than in years past. So, again, 3:30 start. Camp Randall's going to be rocking. And I'm going to go Wisconsin 42, Buffalo 10. We have number 18, Oregon State at San Jose State. Now, there's a lot of pundits out there that are scared for Oregon State this week, just because San Jose State gave USC fits in the first half last week. Now, San Jose State can put up some points. Their defense, not so much. Their defense is, we saw what happened in the second half against USC last week. Oregon State, hell of a season last year. Nobody saw that coming either. Oregon State is one of my teams that are going to surprise this year. They are a dark horse. And people are talking about Oregon and Washington and Utah and USC, but people are sleeping on Oregon State. Now, I think San Jose State being at home, Oregon State coming into town, after that first half performance against USC last week, I think the fans will be looking for more of the same. It's the DJ Uiagalelei era as he transferred from Clemson to Oregon State. He's now the quarterback there. So they're looking for big things from him. San Jose State's going to stick around in this one. But I think Oregon State has the better defense. I really do. And Oregon State's no slouch on offense either. So again, San Jose State's probably going to do their thing like they did last week. They're going to hang around at the half. And then I think Oregon State will probably just wear them down. So with all that being said, I'm going Oregon State 38, San Jose State 24. Then we have Colorado. We all know about what's going on with Deion Sanders in the program, all the defections, and they're at number 17 TCU, and this is a noon start. don't know what to expect out of Colorado. First year head coach had everybody come down or come up from Jackson State and come to Colorado, and just don't know what to expect. Do I think they'll play hard? Absolutely. Do I think they win the football game? No. Everybody knows what kind of season TCU had last year. Unfortunately, they didn't win the Big 12 because Kansas State beat them. But to make the college football playoff, who in the hell saw them beating Michigan the way they did last year in that shootout? And then we all know what happened to the national championship game. That's another story. So they've got a lot of people to replace. I don't think TCU will have the same kind of year that they did last year. They're still a tough football team. I got them like maybe somewhere in the 8-4 range this year. They're not going to be anywhere close to what they were last year. I think Colorado will probably hang around just because there's going to be all this hype and this excitement. Here we are. It's Deion Sanders as the coach or whatnot, but I don't think it'll matter anyway. So TCU 37 and Colorado 23. Then we have at 7 o'clock Southeast Missouri State and number 16 Kansas State. 7 o'clock kickoff. Again, Southeast Missouri State. Not Missouri. Southeast Missouri State at Kansas State. Kansas State had a great run to the Big 12 championship last year. Unfortunately, they had a couple of hiccups during the regular season, or I think they probably would have made the college football playoff. Returned a lot of starters. But Southeast Missouri State, not a bad football team. But do I really expect Kansas State to lose at home? First weekend of college football at home? I don't think so. They're a hell of an FCS team. Don't get me wrong. But K-State is the reigning Big 12 champion, by the way. And they return a lot of guys. So at home, late start, Labor Day weekend, kids on campus, fans will be rocking. No, it's not going to happen. Kansas State 40, Southeast Missouri State 10. Now we get to the top 15. Pardon me while I have a refreshing, tasty beverage, which is water. We have Portland State at number 15, Oregon, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is 12 o'clock their time. Again, Portland State. Is it just because they're in Oregon? No. They played them last year and they beat the hell out of them, 52-6. Do I really expect anything to change this year? I'm not even going to waste my time on this game. Oregon 56, Portland State 10. We already went for Florida, Utah. Then we had Tennessee State at number 13, Notre Dame. Everybody saw what Notre Dame did to Navy in Dublin last week. I actually had people calling me up saying that Navy was going to surprise and win the football game or give them a struggle. And I said, no, they're not. Notre Dame's going to blow them out. Navy, new coach, new regime, new system. Notre Dame started off horrendous last year. They finished strong. And it's carried over into this year. Tennessee State. It's another cupcake. I usually call week one cupcake weekend is what I call it. Because all the big ponies, or most of the big ponies, they just lay waste to the FCS opponent or the lesser Division I opponent that they have on the schedule. And it's usually the way it is for the first 3 weeks anyway. But especially this weekend, this is what we're going to get. Sam Hartman seems to be the answer at quarterback for Notre Dame. He had all that success down at Wake Forest, and he's just continuing the process at Notre Dame. Could he be the missing cog for this Notre Dame team? I don't know. Do I think they're going to vie for a college football playoff? Ask me after the 9th week of the season, and then maybe I'll tell you. But, this game will be a blowout too. I'm going Notre Dame 52, Tennessee State 10. Then you have Virginia at number 12, Tennessee. This is a noon kickoff. Everybody knows what happened to Tennessee last year. They were rolling. And then Hendon Hooker got hurt. And the season just sort of imploded after that. If he doesn't get hurt, who knows? I know they lost to Georgia. They lost convincingly to Georgia. But, could they have made the college football playoff as a one-loss team? I don't know. They weren't going to make the SEC championship game because Georgia had that sewn up. But they have enough talent and enough material coming back that I think they'll still have a fantastic season. They're the second best team in the SEC East, obviously. It's Georgia by far, but Tennessee is like a close second. So Virginia, really bad offseason. We know what happened on campus, and you still got a feel for the program. So, it's a different culture down there, but I just, Virginia doesn't stand a chance against Tennessee. They might hang around for a little bit, just because Tennessee and Virginia will feel one another out. But I just don't see it. Tennessee has a new quarterback, Joe Milton. High praises for this kid. I still have to see it on the field. I just don't think Tennessee is going to struggle with Virginia all that much. I'm going Tennessee 42, Virginia 13. Then we have Rice at number 11, Texas. That's 3:30. Start time. This is everybody's sexy pick this year. This is Sarkisian's best team at Texas. This is the team to put Texas back on the map. This is the team that's going to turn things around. I keep hearing it. This is the sexy pick for the Big 12. And Texas is going to win the Big 12 this year. Well, I've been hearing that crap for the last 10 years. And we all see what, the results have been those last 10 years. Now, has he had fantastic recruiting classes? Yes. You better put it together this year. Because if you don't, then the fat lady could be singing and warming up the bus. Now, they're playing Rice. Obviously, this is a confidence booster for them. I'm going to say this now at 8 o'clock, Thursday, August 31st, 2023. I'm putting Texas on notice this year. You better show it to me on the field. I'm still not picking you to win the Big 12. But if not now, when? I've been hearing all off season long. They have the talent this year. They have the talent to do damage. I've got to see it on the field. I saw it last year when they played Alabama. They lost a close game. Where the hell was that effort the rest of the year? I know they had injuries. Injuries are part of the game, though. Injuries are part of the game. You got 5-star recruits that should just step in and be prepared. Texas. This has to be the year, right? Texas 49, Rice 7. Then we get to the top 10 preseason. It's whatever. We have Boise State at number 10, Washington. 3:30 start. Again, Washington, an amazing year last year. I didn't see that coming out of Washington at all. Again, another sexy. A lot of people were jumping on Washington to win the Pac-12 and maybe make a college football playoff appearance. Boise State, obviously not what they once were. Going all the way back to the early 2000s, up until about maybe 3 years ago. Still a good program. Don't get me wrong, but they're just not what they once were. Michael Penix Jr., still a quarterback for Washington. Obviously a huge plus. But again, when it comes to the Pac-12, where's the defense? Where's the defense? USC didn't have it last year. Washington in spurts. Oregon, And what did Utah do? They had a great defense last year. That's why they were able to win the Pac-12 again. Boise State will be a challenge. I think they hang around for a while. But I think Washington's talent will win out over the 4 quarters. I'm going Washington 37, Boise State 21. On Monday, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, we have number 9 Clemson at Duke. This is the Klubnik era now for Clemson. He has taken the reins, and now they're going to let him run with it. Obviously, they hired TCU's offensive coordinator in the offseason to try and get it jump started, because the last 2 years under DJ, they just couldn't find that. They could never find a rhythm offensively throughout an entire football game. You always saw like spurts of it here and there, but they could never put like together this fantastic offensive showing, consistent showing. It's at Duke. Duke's they're Clemson by far has more talent, and they have the better football team. Again, you might see Clemson struggle a little bit early offensively, but I think in the end, over 4 quarters, they wear them down. So I'm going Clemson 40, Duke 23. Then we have the biggie of the weekend, which is number 5 LSU versus number 8 Florida State. It's in Orlando. LSU is being talked about this year as a potential college football playoff team. They get past this game. Big time confidence. You beat Florida State again. Big time confidence. Big time. And I think you get Alabama at home this year. They're ranked number 5 for a reason. Studs on defense. You bring the bulk of what you had back offensively. So does Florida State. Florida State's everybody's darling to win the ACC this year. You still have to beat Clemson. You have to prove it. Just like a couple of years ago when, Pitt won the ACC. You got to prove it on the football field. This is going to be one of those, I'm going to give you an uppercut, you're going to give me a hook. I'm going to give you a right hook, I'm going to give you a body blow. That's just the way it's going to be this football game. Teams mirror one another. Neutral site. I don't think either one of these teams has an advantage. You'd say Florida State because it's in Orlando. I don't buy that. I'm going LSU 27, Florida State 24. Yes, a field goal in this football game. Excuse me while I enjoy some of my beverage. Okay. Then we have West Virginia at Penn State. Remember way back in the day when Penn State was an independent and so was West Virginia, and this was like one of those brawls that you were looking forward to year in and year out, when West Virginia way, way, way back in the day was a really tough out for anybody. Penn State returning a slew of starters on both sides of the football. Obviously, Penn State has to replace the quarterback. Everybody's high on Drew Allar. He's supposedly the real deal. West Virginia, I just think is sort of in limbo. I don't think they know what they are. I don't think they really have any sort of identity, to be quite honest with you. I just think, Penn State will probably, they're with Penn State this year, and you hope they don't get caught in a trap game. It's going to come down to two games for Penn State. It's Ohio State and Michigan, the two thorns in their side, if you will, the last 10, 15 years. You know you're going to beat West Virginia, but it's going to come down to those two games. You win one of those two games, who knows what could happen. But anyway, Penn State wins this 35-14. Nevada at number 6 USC. We saw what happened with USC last week. They came out. We'll just show up. We'll win the football game. You're up 21-14 on San Jose State. Now, they blew them out in the second half, but you still allowed San Jose State to score 28 points on you. And again, I talked about this a couple of weeks ago on my college football show, that when it comes to the Pac-12, it always comes down to defense. And the fact that the Pac-12 or Pac-14 or Pac-4 now, whatever the hell it is, they always seem to beat one another up. Nevada should be a cupcake for you if you play like you're capable of playing. But you have to step up on the defensive side of the ball. Now, I'm not saying San Jose State isn't a good offensive football team, because they are. But still, come on. Don't believe all your hype. Just go out and play. Kalen Williams had a fantastic week last week. He's kicking off another Heisman campaign with a fantastic. This should be another game where you dominate. But again, defensively, show up. What are you going to show me defensively this week? Well, I'm going to go out on a limb here. USC 50, Nevada 13. Middle Tennessee State at number 4 Alabama. Another cupcake. 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Alabama fans last year, I think they were all ready to jump off a bridge because they didn't make the college football playoff. And they lost to Tennessee. And you lost to LSU. And, there's like this scene from Airplane where it's a twister, Annie M. Their defense was not good last year. Their offense was still their offense. Their defense last year under Nick Saban, that was a bad defense. That was probably the worst defensive performance all season long that they've had under Nick Saban. It was pathetic. Can they shore up that defense? Is it going to be another top-notch SEC defense this year? Because last year it wasn't. They stunk last year. Did you watch the Tennessee game? I know that was a shootout. But I never seen anybody that wide open against an Alabama Nick Saban coach defense. But come on, it's Middle Tennessee State. No. Alabama 49, Middle Tennessee State 3. Number 3, Ohio State at Indiana. Ohio State opens on the road. 3:30 kickoff. Ohio State has a lot of people to replace. They might struggle a little bit in this one to start off. But again, it's Ohio State, and you don't rebuild, you reload. And Indiana is one of those teams. I really thought Indiana the last 5 years would show some kind of life in the Big Ten. I thought maybe they turned a corner like 5-6 years ago, but this is another program that's always stuck in like the 7-5 and 6-6 and 5-7 seasons. You might sprinkle in a 9-3 and 8-4 season every once in a while. Kyle McCord, obviously replacing C.J. Stroud. We can hope he steps up as a starter. But again, I think Ohio State struggles just a little bit to start out the football game, but forget it. Ohio State 50, Indiana 20. And you have East Carolina at number 2, Michigan. Harbaugh obviously suspended for, I think it's the first 3-4 games of the season. Really? If you really want to send a message, even though I think that the NCAA is a joke when it comes to like the rules in the rule book and they're all over the place. If you really want to send a message, why not suspend them for like Ohio State? Why not suspend them for Penn State or Michigan State? East Carolina, you and I could be on the sidelines to coach this team against East Carolina. I just don't know why teams do it or programs do it. I get it. Again, be a big payday for East Carolina. But Michigan can throw out the scrubs for this game, and they'd probably still win. So I will go Michigan 42, East Carolina 13. And then we get to number 1, Georgia. They're hosting University of Tennessee Martin. Again, do we really expect Georgia to lose to University of Tennessee Martin on the first weekend of college football as the number 1 ranked team? Now, Georgia's lost Stetson Bennett, which was the leader of the team the last 2 years that won national championships, went 30-1. They still lost a lot defensively. But again, they're just going to reload. They're not rebuilding. When you win national championships, where does everybody want to go? Boom. So, Georgia 50, UT Martin 3. And they're lucky if they get 3 points. So we got about 15 minutes left in the show here. So people keep asking me about like the realignments and stuff like that, and like people bailing and jumping ship. And Utah's already up on Florida at 7-0. So, like I said, it doesn't matter who Utah has a quarterback. Florida's in for a rude awakening this time. I know they beat Utah last year, but they're I'm watching on the ticker here. But back to like the whole realignment thing. It's not going to stop anytime soon. This is going to be a thing up until like the beginning of next year's season. I did see in the news today that the ACC was to discuss expansion again at some point today. As a college football traditionalist, as an old school hat guy, somebody that was used to region to region to region, it's just, I think it's a travesty what's happening. It's all about the almighty dollar, man. It's all about the almighty dollar. That's all it is. And the ADs and the presidents and the chancellors, if they keep coming out and saying that it's not all about the money, somebody out there slap them for me, because it's all about the money. You don't give a rat's ass about the students. You don't care about other programs like, women's programs and some of the lesser men's programs. You don't care. You're just doing what's best for you money wise. Let's be honest, because of football. That's the only reason why. Just like when the Big East disbanded for basketball, and a lot of teams went either to the ACC or they went somewhere else. It was all about this, man. It was all about the football programs. It makes me sick to the core what's happening in college football right now. And I said this 5-10 years ago that this was going to happen. That eventually this was what was going to take place. And I even said it a couple of years ago that eventually this is the first step into forming a super conference where everybody is going to blend together into one big mega conference. They break away from the NCAA and say, okay, NCAA, you go deal with whatever's left. And we're going to come up with this big ass super conference with all the major college football programs in the country. And we're going to govern ourselves. And that's exactly what they're going to do. It's not going to happen next year. It won't happen 3 years from now. I'll say with the new college football playoff format taking place, where they're going to go from 4 teams to, and I don't even know anyway, 12 teams. It's headed in that direction. Big time. Big time. And I don't know what kind of super conference it'll be. I don't know how many teams it'll be. But with the new college football playoff format, they'll let that take place between like 5 and 10 years. They'll see how that goes. And then what'll happen is all the big boys, all the big programs will say, hey, it's time. Let's all mesh and blend together. Let's all come together, come together, sing Kumbaya. But again, it just is, I've been watching college football. I can remember watching college football going back till I was 8, 9 years old. And I love the way it used to be. Now, I get it. Times change. Things change. The landscape changes. But what's going on now is ridiculous. And I know I'm not the only one that feels like that. You ask any pundit, you ask any analyst. Now, for the big boys, they're happy. They're happy. And it all started last year with SEC Commissioner Sankey when they brought Texas and Oklahoma into the SEC. That was the first step. Now, it took a little while for the dominoes to fall, but they eventually did. And the Big Ten said, whoa, 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 whoa. We're not going to let you have that many teams. Boom. Now, the ACC is next to follow suit. We'll have to see what happens with the ACC. Because Clemson, Florida State, North Carolina, and Miami are not happy with the revenue. So who knows where they may bolt to. And I've often said that Florida State and Clemson and Miami were SEC teams playing in the ACC. When Texas A&M and Missouri came into the SEC, they've found it quite tough. And if anybody thinks that Alabama Texas and Oklahoma. Sir, do you think the addition of the NIL proposition? Oh, Paul Millsap. I'm sorry. I just noticed the chat thing now. I apologize. Sir, do you think the addition of the NIL proposition is a good addition to the NCAA organization? No. No, I don't. No. Let's be realistic. All right. There's only 200 and some players every year that make it to the NFL. And some of them get cut anyway. The LSU basketball player, and I forget her name off the top of my head, her NIL deal right now, she has NIL deals totaling $1 million. $1 million. She makes more right now than she would going into the NBA or the WNBA. You go figure that one out. And unless you have the transfer portal. So you get a recruit that comes in and he gets pissed off because he's not playing. He gets the bowl. Again, I'm a college football traditionalist. Now, do I think maybe that, all the money that they make off the jerseys and the student bookstores, and why don't you take that and stick it in a fund somewhere so if they graduate or they leave college, then they have access to all that money? That I could see doing. But just like the Florida recruit, his NIL deal fell through. So he reneged his commitment to Florida. So now what you're going to have is you go out recruiting people for whatever sport. The first thing out of their mouth is probably going to be, well, what kind of NIL deal can I get? So if Alabama, Georgia, Florida, Tennessee, LSU are all going after the same kid, what will happen most likely is whatever program can offer the best NIL deal, that's where the kid's going to go. Like, it's not enough to go somewhere to play sports and you get a full ride and get a good college education. That's over with. Because you see it nowadays. You see it happen with bowl games. If you're not in the college football playoff and you're in one of the lesser bowls, kids take off to go get ready for the draft. So the same team that you were on all year long, if you're being told that you're going to be even a top 4 round recruit or top 4 round choice, those kids skip the bowls and go get ready for the draft. Now I'm getting depressed. And again, thanks for Sean Stewart for letting me do this. I could do a 3-hour show on all this stuff, but it gets me more irritated as I go along and I talk about it. Because what's happening in college football right now, there's a lot of people don't even watch anymore because it sickens them to see what's happening. All right, so we got about 5-6 minutes left. I am going to give you my best bets for this weekend against the spread. Now, you don't have to take my advice. This is just going off feel. This is just going off stats. And pardon me while I go through my notes here. So I just got to pull up the schedule. I apologize. It should have been more well organized. And I'm just looking through my notes. So the first team this weekend that I'm taking, and most of them are top 25 teams anyway. Give you a couple of scores. Utah still up 7-0. UCF is up on Kent State 21-3. Western Michigan up on St. Francis of Pennsylvania 21-10. NC State and UConn are tied. Nebraska, Minnesota 0-0. Missouri over South Dakota State 7-0. Arkansas Pine Bluff over Tulsa 7-0. And UAB over NC A&T 7-3. And I have to apologize again. I'm just sort of. So Auburn minus 35 against UMass. UMass won last week, which was surprising to me. UMass, if you follow UMass at all, they've been abysmal the last 10 years. But Auburn, I know the line's 35. I'll lay the points. Auburn should have no trouble. I'm laying the points. I'm taking Auburn minus the 35. I also have Alabama in here. The schedule's a little messed up. I'm just trying to scroll through everything. And I apologize for not writing this down. Whatever Alabama's laying, and I was trying to find it on here. I'm laying the points. Alabama's probably going to win that. Oh, here we go. Alabama, Middle Tennessee State. I'm laying the 39, and I'm taking Alabama. Ohio State, Indiana. We have. So Ohio State's favored by 30. I'm a little wary of it, to be quite honest with you. I know it's at Indiana, but I'm laying the 30, and I'm taking Ohio State. Some of the other games here, and I apologize for being this disorganized. I thought I had my notes better. Washington State's going to Colorado State. The line's 11. Colorado State's not a really good football team. Washington State on the road with their type of offense, they play just good enough defense. I'm taking Washington State. I'm laying the minus 11. I was going to take Michigan, but every time there's a big line with Michigan, they always seem to not cover the spread. So I backed off of Michigan. And we have sorry, just scrolling through here. I took Hawaii minus the points. They're at home, and they played tough last week. And I just don't. I normally Hawaii covers at home, so I'm taking Hawaii minus the points. And the other teams I took against the spread, I took Kentucky, Texas, even though I'm a little wary of Texas. I took Texas Tech, Oregon State, and I took Penn State to cover. So you don't have to play those. Those are just my gut feeling games to take. That's just a feel I get. Some of the big spreads that are out there, they normally say when the spread's that high, you're supposed to take the favorite. You're not supposed to take the underdog, because I think it was 65% of the high spreads, the favorite always covers. So, again, I want to thank everybody. The Neutral Zone every Thursday night, 7:30 p.m. Sports for America. My man, Sean Stewart. Again, Sean Stewart, thank you so much. And We're going to do this hopefully next week, Thursday. I might have to switch days because I might be going on a little bit of vacation next week. So I'll have to talk to my man, Sean Stewart, about maybe switching the days next week. But again, thank you so much. This is a prayer answered. Again, I live, sleep, eat, breathe college football. I'm always looking at stuff. And if anybody has questions or comments, feel free to send those questions and comments to @the_Neffski. That's my, not Twitter anymore, it's the X. @the_Neffski. Everybody have a fantastic Labor Day weekend. Everybody stay safe, stay sound, stay healthy, and again, enjoy. And I'll see you all next week.